Big trade union federations, now Saftu becoming the third largest. We've got Fedusa, we've got Cosatu, we've got Saftu. A short while ago, my partner was interviewing Professor Lisiba Tifo from UNISA, who said the more the merrier. What's interesting is the content of what they do. Are they acting in the interests of the workers, or are they part of some political party machinations?
At this stage, I think it's fair to say that the political differences between the two major federations, Saftu and Cosatu, are fundamentally political as opposed to necessarily worker-related. I mean, in the sense that they both want the best deal that they can get for their members. For workers, they are the same. But the way in which they will do it and how they relate to and support either political party seems to me to be the dominant theme at the moment.
Saftu has said, though, they want to be apolitical, they want to be independent, only representing the workers. But from what you are saying they could be informed by some political ideology?
Unquestionably. I mean, they are avowedly Marxist socialist. They see the struggle not so much against apartheid, but against capitalism. And it is their desire to bring down the capitalist system and replace it. Now, that is a highly politicized point of view.
Now, currently, let's just use an example to be practical. I'm a worker. I'm hearing that there's going to be a national minimum wage, which was supposed to have started yesterday, but it has been postponed. And everybody's saying a national minimum wage is important. It's a start towards a living wage. But then I hear also another union federation say, no, 20 rand an hour is not a good enough minimum wage. Don't accept this. We want even higher. Are my interests being served here as a worker? Who's serving them best?
What needs to be balanced when you talk about a minimum wage is the question of employment and loss of employment as against the wage. There also is a situation of free collective bargaining in this country. So in reality, a call for a minimum wage, which, for example, Saftu are making of 12,500, would lead to an absolute bloodbath of jobs. A huge percentage of those working currently would lose their jobs.
But Saftu, Mr. Levy says no, but the top echelons of business, they are earning in their millions in terms of monthly salaries and bonuses and incentives. So if you look at that, these companies can afford to pay the workers more than 20 rand an hour if they are paying their executives millions in rands in salaries and bonuses.
Well, I think we need to be a little more focused than that. Not all companies pay salaries like that. The majority of private companies don't. A large number of the companies that do are very, very indebted heavily. They pay that money to one chief executive. If you were to pay that to all of the workers, it would translate to a very, very small amount. And where would the money come from next year? The other point to bear in mind, if you look at those salaries, predominantly you're looking at the mining sector, and there the minimum wage is about 10,500 to 12,500. So it's not really an honest or a fair comparison.
Now, in terms of what you saw yesterday, I'm sure you followed some of the speeches. Yeah. President Cyril Ramaphosa literally saying, no, this minimum wage is necessary. It's a beginning. It's not an end. We are on a journey. Saftu saying not good enough. Cosatu say we support it. Let's work together. As if you're looking from a worker perspective, I mean, what do I do now? Do I go along with what my union is saying, my federation? Do I go into the streets, boots on the tarmac, and marching again for more money?
I think if you're a worker, you've got to look very carefully at your own situation. And the first thing is that 50% of the workers out there will earn more than the national minimum wage. So they're better off immediately. A large number, in fact, virtually all the union members have their unions negotiating for them. They do better in terms of the national minimum wage. The national minimum wage, which will affect 48% of the population, deals with those who are least protected, who are most exploited, and it will make a difference to them. So I think one could say, quite frankly, that if trade unions and or their members, and that begs the question as to whether or not the union officials who spoke yesterday actually represent the interests of their members, but I think the interests of the members should be more towards protection of the vulnerable and perhaps improvement of their own position through free collective bargaining.
So, I mean, workers are being represented well enough by the various federations. The question is, are they actually delivering what they would need? I saw the headline in The Citizen this morning, Cyril's Labour pains. Just wanted to get your opinion on it, that there's no end in sight to violent strikes, according to The Citizen. We are in the third week of the bus strike that's been going on. The workers, they're demanding 9.5% increase. The employers offering between 7% and 8% over 2 years. And we're seeing a lot of, you mentioned collective bargaining, the discussions with the public servants, which we know that's still coming. There's a big debate going on there. So we're in that time of the year where we said it's a strike season. Should we expect more labour action in the next months, in your view, Andrew?
Most certainly. As you said, we're coming up to the focal point of the bargaining round, and already we are seeing more strikes in terms of the numbers of strikes than we saw last year. That will probably continue into next year because we go into the electoral cycle, and there's a positive relationship between labour unrest and the electoral cycle, as each of the union groupings tries to jockey for the best position they can get. But there are plans, there is draft code of good practice around ways of ending the violence, the intimidation, the destruction of property with striking. And I think that could be a game changer and a most welcome one if it is properly implemented.
Thank you very much. Andrew Levy, Labour Analyst, giving us some of his insights following May Day yesterday.